British Prime Minister Theresa May will tell lawmakers on Monday that Brexit negotiations are 95% complete and that important progress has made on the UK's withdrawal from the European Union since last month's Salzburg summit. According to a statement released ahead of her address, May will attempt to highlight how much progress has been made over the last 3 weeks of Brexit talks. Negotiators, she will tell the British Parliament, had reached agreement on issues ranging from Gibraltar to the future security cooperation. Taking all of this together, 95% of the withdrawal agreement and its protocols are now settled, May will say. However, the border between Northern Ireland, part of the UK, and the Republic of Ireland, an EU member, remains a crucial sticking point. Both sides want to avoid a hard border, fearing that it could reignite unrest between Republicans and Unionists. However, London and Brussels have so far been unable to reach a workable solution. The Prime Minister is set to once again voice her opposition to the EU's Irish backstop proposal, which would keep Northern Ireland in the European Customs Union and create a de facto border in the Irish Sea. Such a move would break up the integrity of the UK, she will say. I do not believe that any UK Prime Minister could ever accept this. And I certainly will not. May tries to contain Tory rebellion. Although talks on the Irish backstop have stalled, May will hope nonetheless that her speech reassures both Eurosceptics and EU supporters alike. The pro-Brexit wing of her Conservative Party has been particularly irked by the suggestion that the status quo transition period could be extended beyond the current December 2021 end date. Eurosceptic lawmakers have accused her of leading the UK towards a deal that would see it become what they describe as a vassal state. Read more. Germany preparing for no deal on Brexit, says Merkel. May became Prime Minister after David Cameron resigned from the post in the wake of the Brexit referendum vote in June 2016. Despite her position, she has struggled to define what kind of Brexit her government wants. Hardliners within her Conservative Party want her to push for a clean break. Others want Britain to stay close to the bloc. The EU itself has rejected many of May's Brexit demands. The leader of the British Labour Party has no formal role in the Brexit talks, but he is influential as the head of the main opposition party. Labour has tried to pressure the Conservative government, which has a thin majority in Parliament, to seek a softer Brexit. But Corbyn's own advocacy has been lukewarm. The longtime leftist voted for the UK to leave the European Community (EC) in 1975. Boris Johnson's turbulent 2 years as UK Foreign Secretary came to an abrupt end with his resignation on July 9. The Conservative had been a key face for the Leave campaign during the 2016 referendum campaign. Johnson disapproves of the soft Brexit sought by PM May, arguing that a complete break from the EU might be preferable. He became the second cabinet member within 24 hours to quit. David Davis headed Britain's department for exiting the EU and was the country's chief negotiator in the talks before he quit on July 8, less than 24 hours before Downing Street announced Boris Johnson's departure. Davis had long opposed Britain's EU membership and was picked for the role for this reason. Davis was involved in several negotiating rounds with his EU counterpart, Michel Barnier. Theresa May appointed Eurosceptic Dominic Raab the morning after Brexit Secretary David Davis resigned. Raab, a staunchly pro-Brexit lawmaker, was formerly Davis' chief of staff. He previously worked for a Palestinian negotiator in the Oslo peace process and as an international lawyer in Brussels advising on European Union and World Trade Organization law. Jeremy Hunt was Britain's health secretary until he replaced Boris Johnson as foreign secretary in early July 2018. The 51-year-old supported Britain remaining in the European Union during the 2016 referendum, but said in late 2017 that he had changed his mind in response to the arrogance of the EU Commission during Brexit talks. He has vowed to help get Britain a great Brexit deal. Nigel Farage was the leader of the United Kingdom Independence Party (UKIP) until July 2016. Under his stewardship, the party helped pressure former Prime Minister David Cameron into calling the EU referendum. He was also a prominent activist in the Leave campaign in the lead-up to the vote. Farage still has some influence over Brexit talks due to his popularity with pro-Leave voters. EU Commission President Juncker, left, and EU Council President Tusk, right, share two of the bloc's highest posts. Juncker heads the EU's executive. Tusk represents the governments of the 27 EU countries, the EU 27. Both help formulate the EU's position in Brexit negotiations. What Tusk says is particularly noteworthy: his EU 27 masters, not the EU Commission, must agree to any Brexit deal. The former French Foreign Minister and European Commissioner has become a household name across the EU since his appointment as the bloc's chief Brexit negotiator in October 2016. Despite his prominence, Barnier has limited room to maneuver. He is tasked with following the EU 27's strict guidelines and must regularly report back to them during the negotiations. The Irish PM has been one of the most important EU 27 leaders in Brexit talks. Britain has said it will leave the EU's customs union and single market. That could force the Republic of Ireland, an EU member, to put up customs checks along the border with Northern Ireland, a British province. But Varadkar's government has repeatedly said the return of a hard border is unacceptable. The leaders of the EU 27 governments have primarily set the EU's negotiating position. They have agreed to the negotiating guidelines for Chief Negotiator Barnier and have helped craft the common EU position for Tusk and Juncker to stick to. The individual EU 27 governments can also influence the shape of any Brexit outcome because they must unanimously agree to a final deal. Author Alexander Pearson. Monday's edition of the UK's Daily Telegraph newspaper reported that May had struggled to shore up sufficient support from Minsters during a conference call on Sunday and is close to facing a confidence vote in Parliament. According to the newspaper, Tory rebels seeking to oust May were just 2 letters of discontent away from triggering a leadership contest. Read more. Thousands in London march for vote on Brexit terms each evening at 18:30 UTC. DW's editors send out a selection of the day's hard news and quality feature journalism. You can sign up to receive it directly here. DM, RT, Reuters, AFP, DPA.